tell you, it's raining out here. We may go off air any second now.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For a safe and secure society.
Why would I?
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
I think hell might look an awful lot like Wyatt Hendrickson today, I think. Call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today. This is a live talk, radio, TV, media show. 844-527-8723. 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever hath been. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. That's I am KingDude at protonmail.com and KingDude at mikechurch.com. Crusader Stadium chat room is open. Like, we're wondering where all the people have gone. Où est les personnes? Where are the people? crusadechannel.com/chat. And, of course, today is the Feast of St. Gabriel, and tomorrow is Annunciation. So we probably will talk a little bit about that. I used to be a NCAA wrestling fan because I grew up in a school in Norfolk, Virginia, that was very wrestling-centric. If you grew up in the Tidewater area in the 1970s, late 60s, and all throughout the 1970s, the Tidewater area is where, I forget how many weight classes there are. I think it goes down to 108 is the lowest, and then it goes up to 212, and then there's super heavyweight. So I think that there's like 12 classes, weight classes, in high school and college wrestling. At any given week or any given year, you probably would have a half a dozen NCAA championships or high school championships in 4A or 5A coming out of the Tidewater area, because it's the area where the move that's called the Granby High Schools in Norfolk, Virginia. Oh, there's 14 weight classes. So growing up right down the street from Granby, everybody knew the Granby move. I mean, I wrestled. I didn't make the team. I wasn't good enough, but we did the intramural kind of wrestling. I knew all the takedown moves. I knew the move that Wyatt Hendrickson pulled on the guy that he beat, and it was absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it, because the dude that he beat, Gabe Stephenson, was supposedly just like, this is just like a formality. I'm going to wrestle Wyatt Henderson or Hendrickson rather, and he'll be a pushover because I'm the reigning gold medalist and I'm the NCAA champion, and I'm just kind of going there to get my trophy here. And then he meets Wyatt Hendrickson. You know, the other cool thing about that, Wyatt Hendrickson's in the United States Air Force. He's active, and he represented the University of Oklahoma, the Sooners. Trump, I'd seen that President Trump was going to the wrestling matches, and he probably and as soon as I saw the notice from the press office, I went, oh, he'll probably take Jim Jordan with him, who's also an NCAA wrestling champion. I don't know if you knew that, Congressman Jordan. I forget his weight class, but yeah, he was an NCAA wrestling champion. So Trump was sitting right there ringside. I mean, he was just literally right off of the mat there when Wyatt Hendrickson took Gabe Stephenson down in a double takedown, and I think that's 2 points. I want to say a double takedown is 2 points because he was down 3-4, and all of a sudden he's up 5-4, and he's got Gabe Stephenson down to kick it out. And it's just, to listen to the call is worth it because the guy that was calling it for ESPN, who was a former wrestler, was just losing it. And Maggie, you want to cue that up? It's on Dreher's Substack. He has it queued up to the actual moment. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I just like it felt like a 1980 U.S. men's hockey team moment. It felt like a 1984 Rocky IV moment. It just felt like one of those 80s comeback. There we go. You can see it on the B-roll. You want to turn the sound up? Oh, you got to back it up about a minute.
You just can't spend much time on your knees with Gabe Stephenson.
Here comes the move.
30 seconds left.
There it is. He got him.
To the left this side. He's stopped off. Oh,
We're going to get big here. On the high crotch. And he's running down.
That's a double. That's a takedown.
Can you believe this?
Hendrickson with the three. Gabe about to hustle. The Olympic champ is about to lose. It's 13 seconds.
This could be it.
Oh, my goodness.
The biggest upset in the history of the NCAA. Could this be it? Yes! He has done it!
I mean, how can you not love that? And the dude, his manager runs out there with the flag. Okay, so you had to see the beginning of the match because Wyatt Hendrickson comes out on the mat wrapped in the flag. He has the flag on when he comes out on the mat. And he sees President Trump over there, and that's his commander-in-chief, and he turns and he salutes President, and Gabe Stephenson walks up and tells him something, and he was asked afterwards, Wyatt Hendrickson was asked, what did Stephenson tell you? And he said, hey, bruh, this is still a wrestling match. In other words, you running around with that flag, this is still this is still a wrestling match for a championship, okay? So, you grandstanding and running around with the flag. The other thing that I love about Wyatt Hendrickson beating Gabe Stephenson was wrestling for the University of Minnesota. Boo hiss. Oh, I hope, boo hiss. I hope Tim Waltz was watching this and cried into his yoo-hoo. It was glorious. And again, it's one of those sport moments that just doesn't happen that often, especially a big upset like that gets people just really animated and excited. The headline story here is Oklahoma State's, I said Oklahoma, my apology, Oklahoma State's Wyatt Hendrickson stuns wrestling world with upset of Gabe Stephenson. Salutes President Trump after victory. And then after the victory, so his manager comes out, brings the flag, he puts the flag back on his shoulders, and then he's standing there, and then he looks over to where Trump is sitting, and he sees Trump sitting over there, and the president stands up, and he salutes him, and Trump salutes him back, and then Trump's like, come on over here. And Wyatt Hendrickson goes over, and he's got the flag wrapped around him. The picture is on today's placard for the Mike Church show. And Wyatt Hendrickson goes over there, and Trump gives him a hug. And he tells him he pats him on the back and says, good job, great job. It's great to be an American, isn't it? I tell you, it was, wrestling's one of those sports that you can't fake. You're never going to see a girl wrestling a dude in a wrestling sport, but I have seen a dude claiming to be a girl, and he beat the snot. He won that high school state championship, and it was the most unfair thing you've ever seen. So, again, if you're at Oklahoma State, or what is that? The Oklahoma State Cowboys, right? Yeah, I love that when he just stood and saluted. And look, there it is. You've seen it on the B-roll. There's there's President Trump down there. Trump loves all these boxing matches, and there it is. Oh, he gives him a hug and a pat on the shoulder and tells him great job. And Mark Wayne Mullen, the senator from Oklahoma, standing right there behind Trump. Just a great moment, a great feel-good moment. Great to, it's one of those proud to be an American. The dude's in the Air Force. You know, he appears, of course, I'm going to say this, and if it's going to get all screwed up, he appears to be a good kid, young man. And as I said, the fact that he beat Minnesota. I wonder if Trump was going, yeah, I love Oklahoma. I never won Minnesota. Don't like Minnesota. Yeah, and you can't fake Greco college wrestling like that. There's no faking that. You're either good at it or you're not. So, again, congratulations to that. I want to talk today, and we're going to get into some greater detail on this. I want to talk about Sodagate. Well, some of you may be going, like, better KingDude, play! Are there other things to talk about other than Sodagate? I guess there are. Oh, by the way, late breaking news as we were just going on air. Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainians have bailed again on the peace negotiations with the Russians. I don't know how many times Trump is going to let Zelensky get away with this, but, you know, the Russians traveled all the way to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I guess that's Saudi Arabia, right? Had their guys travel all the way to Saudi Arabia. The Ukrainians go and they just refused to go into the meeting. It wasn't that they were in the meeting and they stormed out. They refused to go into the meeting. It's almost like they baited the Russians to go down to the negotiation and had no intention of honoring the commitment that they were there to go see if they could work out a peace agreement. Look, this is... The more he does this, the more he's putting the entire process in peril or in jeopardy. I think what's happening here is that Zelensky is being told by the NATO creeps and by the little homo fairies and the European Union is being told, you know what, dude, screw it. You're the only hope we got. If you go down, we all lose our gravy trains. We don't care how many Ukrainian and Russian boys get killed. Hell, we may even sacrifice a couple thousand of our own. But if you go down, we have no place left to launder money. They always say, cui bono, follow the money. Why else would the Ukrainians, who are getting clobbered in this war, why else would they not want to negotiate a peace settlement? You know, I think that the Russian negotiator was accurate, or Putin, whoever was on the phone with Trump, maybe it was President Putin, it told him, like, first condition, Mr. President, first condition you must honor. You must make promise. No more funding Yukis. You give Yuki money, they will not leave battlefield. They will stay until the money supply runs out. So first thing you must do is to cut Yuki funding off, which he didn't do, and I think now that may actually happen. So we'll talk about that in some greater detail. The Democrat Party, for those of you that are following this, don't know how to do anything other than what they're currently doing. I think they're done. You know, we are looking at all these people. We have 30-some-odd thousand people showed up at our rally in Arizona. So that's about, I forget how many votes the Shape got in Arizona. 700-some-odd thousand, I want to say, something like that. I'm sure Maggie could find the number. So you got 10% of 750,000 would be 75,000. So you got less than 5% of your alleged base to show up at a rally, and that's supposed to be a big deal. By the by, the same people that showed up in Arizona showed up in Denver. The Democrat Party has now become the party. The guy here, a guy at the Federalist nails this. I was reading it, I was laughing out loud. I was going like, I know I'm not supposed to be laughing at this, but it actually is funny. Democrats have a manhood problem in more ways than one. Democrats have a penis problem. Specifically, their problem is that they think a woman can have one. It is Democrat Party dogma now that trans women are women. The results of implementing this insane doctrine have been predictable, from males dominating female athletes to female prisoners having to share cells with male rapists to girls losing their privacy in bathrooms. Consider the case, and then he gets into more. As we get underway, I'll get more into it of what this is about. But this is true. The Democrat, and especially the Femocracies, they don't know what to do. The only thing that they know is what they are currently doing. It's still not sinking in, and they're not willing to accept that woke is woke be gone. Woke is done. People are like, you know what? I can't believe I actually fell for this. How many young white males' lives have been ruined, as the country folks would say, destroyed by the Democrat Party, the fecklessness of the stupid party, and DEI woke over the last 20 years. Here, there's a story at Compact today. They're going to get into great detail. I must tell you, I did not know that it was this desperate. The Vanishing White Male Writer by Jacob Savage. Tease you with the opening paragraph. Over the course of listen to this. This is just simply shocking. Someone needs to pay for this, or someone's need to pay for this. Over the course of the 2010s, the literary pipeline for white men was effectively shut down. Between 2001 and 2011, 6 white men won the New York Public Library's Young Lions Prize for debut fiction. Since 2020, not a single white man has even been nominated. The past decade has seen 70 finalists for the Center for Fiction's first novel prize, with, again, not a single straight white American millennial man nominated. Of 14 millennial finalists for the National Book Award during that same time period, exactly this many
0.0
are white men. The Wallace Stegner Fellowship at Stanford, a launching pad for young writers, currently has this many white guys.
0.0
White male fiction and poetry fellows. Of 25 fiction fellows since 2020, just one was a white man. Perhaps most astonishingly, not a single white American man born after 1984 has published a work of literary fiction in the New Yorker. At least 24 and probably closer to 30 younger millennials have been published in total. So what happened? It was beyond DEI. It was intentional. And you look around at the carnage that is the young white male and what remains of him. Primarily, who are the shooters, or primarily now, the shooters in school shootings? Young white men. Maybe there is, of course, they have no fathers. That's one problem right there. But they've been told their entire lives that
serving the hard liquor of truth to men who want to get drunk fast since 1992.
I can see you, and I know what you do. So put your hands on your face
It's an MTV hit. It's Devo. The fastest 3 hours in all of radio. The Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Radio Network. It is a Monday. It's just 2 Mondays in a row that we're looking around each other and going like, is today a Monday? Yeah, today is Monday. And can't you tell, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at mypillow.com/KingDude. That's mypillow.com/KingDude. $75 or more on your order, and you get free shipping. Don't forget the My Sheets. Don't forget the My Slippers, the My Towels, and so much more. The My Pillow is fit to you. You give it your preference and then your T-shirt size, and then they fit the pillow to you. We have about a dozen My Pillows laying around the house. You will love to have your My Pillow. You'll want to bring it with you when you travel. So we'll get you one today if you don't have one, or maybe you just need a couple of more so that you have a pile. You can make a My Pillow mountain in your bed. Go to mypillow.com/KingDude. That's mypillow.com/KingDude. I don't know anything about this guy, but I just saw this because someone, or several people actually, forwarded this to me. Gun rights scholar nabs chief counsel post. In what could prove to be a momentous development, a new top lawyer at the ever overreaching Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Can they cram another word into that? Is a Second Amendment proponent and scholar who clerked for the Supreme Court's foremost gun rights advocate. Good news from the DOJ today, said National Association for Gun Rights. This one could be huge, definitely huge. The move came without any official publicity. Robert Leader's name and photo simply appeared on the ATF leadership page last week, indicating that he now holds the title of Assistant Director Chief Counsel. Leader fills a vacancy created by Attorney General Pam Bondi's February firing of previous Chief Counsel Pamela Hicks. At the time, Bondi told Fox News, "Yesterday I fired the general counsel from the ATF. These people were targeting gun owners. Not going to happen under this administration." Continuing to shape things up last month, Trump also made the unusual move of giving Kash Patel. Okay, you all know. I never heard of this leader guy, but apparently he clerked for Clarence Thomas. Leader comes to his new role from an associate professor post at George Mason's University's Antonin Scalia Law School. Earlier in his career, he clerked for Clarence Thomas when Thomas was a Seventh Circuit and then a Supreme Court justice. And he has a blog encouragingly titled "Standing His Ground." So looks like the Trump hits just keep on coming. As and these are positions now that get filled out from the top down. So you put your cabinet people in place, and now they get to fill positions. And again, I don't. What does the ATF actually do other than harass people like me? Remember I told you this a couple years ago? I had an ATF agent show up at the front door here, and I'm like, what the hell is this all about? And apparently an old arcane Louisiana law was invoked against me for, because I went to go buy, the ironic thing was like the third time I'd gone through the background check. They didn't catch it the first 2 times, supposedly. And they were like, you can't, you can't purchase a gun. The plea deal you made with the court in 1987. I mean, 1987, that was 30 years ago. Doesn't matter, the law is the law. And I actually had to go back to the FFL or FLE and give them the gun back. And then I had to go through an appeals process, which I did. So it's all taken care of now. But I asked the guy, I asked the ATF, I'm like, why are you here? Not that I want to have a relationship with a member of the Louisiana State Troopers Association or with a state trooper. I'm like, why isn't a state trooper? It's a Louisiana law. It's not a federal law. Why are you doing this? And he told me, he goes, I don't know. I just take the assignments they give to me. And apparently, the Louisiana State Police don't like enforcing your state's gun laws, and so they pass it off to us. And you're like, well, that's just stupid. So there's just one instance there where, like, well, why couldn't the state, if you got a law in the books, why isn't the state of Louisiana enforcing it? And why is an ATF agent? So, again, I ask the question, what is the constitutional basis, unless you're going to tell me that a well-regulated militia needs ATF agents to make sure it's well-armed? Or that you need the Bureau of Firearms, that you need it to do what? Make sure that the armory is properly supplied. You know, in the business part about the alcohol and tobacco grows in the ground. Why don't you just say alcohol, tobacco, corn, and firearms? Just throw another one. Soybean. Let's throw soy. Soybean's kind of dangerous. Soybean oil is one of the more deadly ones. Why don't we throw soybeans in on that? You're going to do tobacco. Why not soybeans? It's just stupid. And it doesn't make sense. But then again, so much stuff doesn't make sense. I want to go back and talk about the, and I said I was going to do this, I want to talk about the Sodagate. So you people know that your kind, humble host has a thing for ethics in broadcasting. What do I always tell you? If you want the media to have plus 50% approval ratings again, and if you want the American citizens out here to trust broadcast and publishing media and whatever other media comes in, then you have to restore ethics. And the only ethics worth restoring are Christian ethics. You could say take Aristotle, Nicomachean ethics, and then take St. Thomas, and they are Christianized. And those are the ethics that are worthy of being restored. And then you must have people conform. And they must conform to the ethical requirements. You know, I wrote a rule. I haven't implemented it yet, but my rule pretty much states on. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here. You know, basically, if you follow the golden rule and you seek to not lie, okay, what's one of the 10 commandments? Do not bear false witness. If you use media to bear false witness, that's a mortal sin. Right there. So, and that's ethics. Here, all you need to do is enforce, well, not all, enforce that commandment. Here, I'll give you another. Thou shalt not steal. If you use media to steal a man's reputation, a man's property, or a man's ability to provide for himself and for his family, that is theft. If you use media to do it, then that's a sin. And then you should have entities, which is why you have libel laws and why you have, or laws against libel and laws against slander. Then you get into the other ethical part that, okay, well, how do I know this person is trustworthy in the social media influencer age? Good luck with that. You know, go get a Yahtzee board and go get that barrel full of dice and roll it there. Pick a number out and see if you match the number. You're as likely as to find someone that is trustworthy rolling Yahtzee dice and picking a number beforehand as you are to find, to actually go like, okay, well, you know, I follow this person, I follow that person. And the problem and the reason for this is there's no barrier for entry. Everyone's got one of these and pointing at the video camera. Anyone can get one of these. By the way, we switched to our real radio announcer, RE20 broadcasting mic at the end of last month because everyone has one of those. That ubiquitous Shure mic, that black hulking, it's an ugly. It is the standard podcast mic, and it doesn't sound as good as this one. But people kind of look for the only reason that I got the Shure mic is because people was like, you know what, maybe if you put the podcast mic in there, they'll think that you're a podcaster, TKD, and you're cool and one of them. And then maybe more of them will click and will listen and will like it all. So someone actually encouraged me that I should get one of those mics. And so I didn't like it from the start because I kept banging it. Not bad that I banged this one. I like my arm. I love my mic flag. I love my shock mount. I love my RE20. And I got my cool little pop screen there. All is good and right with the world.
Don't conform. You have an old mic. You still rustle people.
Yeah, that's right. How many podcasters do that? Well, that's just stupid. You don't have to. Okay, back to the ethics. I'm getting Maggie. Let me get sidetracked here. Back to the ethics and the concern here. Okay. Ian Miles Chung, Eric Doherty, Clown World, and not Jerome Powell. You know what? Did Magdalene? I think Magdalene sent me a report. Hold on a second here. Yes. Callie Means was talking about this. So, okay, here's what happened. Here's the genesis. Friday, RFK Jr. says something to the effect of, we're going to pass a rule, and we're going to pass it down to USDA, and we're going to say that you can't use SNAP benefits to buy Mountain Dews. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Well, you may be, and Ricky Bobby, or nephew of Ricky Bobby, but you're not using your SNAP card to pay for it. Now, this only makes sense because the drinks they're filled with mostly, it's not sugar anymore, it's high fructose corn syrup. It's like it's poison in a can here. You don't have to have a soft drink, you can have water. And they're not healthy for you. So to use soft drink and to be able to, it's something that is making people sick. As Callie Means points out, you get them hooked into tickets and allow them to use poverty benefits to buy things that are going to destroy their pancreas and their health.
So
and then
Trump
you have the
derangement
pharmaceutical
syndrome has
company
now bred
comes
itself
to the
a cousin,
the
Elon
industrial
derangement
pharmaceuticals come
syndrome.
right
I just think
behind
it's
you.
Doge.
And they go, hey, don't worry, go ahead
Derangement
and destroy your
syndrome.
pancreas and get
Then
diabetes.
again, I don't
It's
think
okay.
the
We have
Democrat
this stuff
Party,
called
the
Ozempic.
smoldering, stinking
And don't
remains
worry,
of
we'll give you insulin for the
what
rest
it
of your
once
life. You can
was.
become a type 2
excuse
diabetes, daily insulin user.
to be deranged about
like my
anything.
brother has in his arm. You can
Greetings
check
to
your
you. It's Mike
ACH1
Churchill here
and all
live
this
on the
and,
Crusade Radio
we'll be
Network
right
on
over the
a
road. Yeah, but
Wisdom
you're like addicted to 3
Wednesday,
substances
asking the
now.
question of the
Now you
day.
gotta run around with a meter stuck in your arm, and your phone is constantly going, hey man, hey bro,
Hell yeah.
ACH count's too high, bro, you're gonna code.
Oh, we are loaded up for week T second coming today.
Continuing stability.
So RFK Jr. comes out and says, well, we're not gonna do that anymore.
Into the first galactic.
And then these influencers spring into action. Ian Miles Chung, a new war on soda has begun.
No, you won't.
Targeting purchases
No,
made
you
through SNAP.
won't.
I don't believe it's the government's role to decide what people should or shouldn't eat. The last time the U.S. government dove deep into dietary guidance, the whole world ended up with the questionable food pyramid. It also championed the COVID-19 vaccine safe and effective. Promoting better health for Americans is a reasonable idea, but not when it involves curbing Diet Coke purchases.
Coming with me.
Restricting soda through SNAP
Alrighty,
is
our
an
call-in
unnecessary
line telephone
move by
number
the
if you'd like to be on the
government
program
to control
today,
consumption,
844-527-8723,
overstepping its authority, and infringing on
844-5 Crusade.
individual
Email
liberty.
address, same as it ever has been.
This guy
often
is
given
an
out,
in the tank,
rarely used
paid
appropriately.
stooge.
I have confidence today.
He's
is
not
the day.
alone.
I am KingDude
A half a
at
dozen or so
protonmail.com. That's I am
influencers
KingDude at
used
protonmail.com. Crusader
their
Stadium chat
hundreds of
room is
thousands or
open for your
millions of
commentary at
followers
crusadechannel.com
to promote a similar
/chat.
message.
So, big interview yesterday with
Something
Trump and Musk
strange happened on the way to the
and
bank
Hannity. We have
to
the
cash a
highlights,
check from
lowlights,
Coca-Cola.
details on all that.
Somebody ratted them all out.
I think what's happening.
Somebody said,
or what's
oh,
going
wait a
on,
minute,
though.
wait a minute. And again, I
you
just
all
keep
came
maintaining
up with a similar message on the
Democrat
same
Party
day at about the same
is just
time.
snuffing itself out. It's
All
its
in
own
defense?
snuff film. It's a political snuff
Getting
film.
hooked on Mountain Dew.
Where the victim,
Diet
who's getting
Coke,
snuffed.
Pepsi, whatever the Hades.
I don't know how many members of the Democrat
They were
Party there
all
are, but the
bought
party
and paid
is
for.
just, it's making itself completely irrelevant.
By Coca-Cola,
and
apparently. Now, what is
I
that from
want to
Nick's
think and I
source
want
that
to
you're putting
say
up there?
that this is by demonic design.
Okay, so this is
that
the message that
they
was
have
on his,
burnt up all of the capital of their
What's that?
crossroads deals.
I can't
the
see
new
it.
generation was raised by the older generation. Folks, one of the things you have to remember is these people are stupid. These are not smart people. As a matter of fact, they're actually the opposite of smart, because in order to get things in life, they made the crossroad deal with the demon.
To help promote this.
So why would anyone
and many of
think
them took the money.
that
Riley Gaines is
generation
one that turned it down. I guess Nick
Democrats would
Sortor
be
turned
able
it down.
to raise
Of course,
the next
I'm
generation?
not an influencer,
I mean,
so
to
I
me,
don't have to worry about any of this
The only
stuff.
thing that the next generation is going to have going for it will be when they make their own, if they haven't already made them, their own crossroads deals with the devils. Other than it, outside of that, someone's going to have to explain to me
you get money
the
based on
utility
what
of
you
even
put. Now,
having this second party hanging around
if you
any
disclose
longer.
this,
And
then just
what
do
it
an
is
ad.
that they
That's
are
fine.
actually
I do
doing
it all
when
the
they're
time.
not
I did one for my
when they're
pillow
not
this hour.
committing open
You,
sedition.
the audience, understand
I
that
was
when
thinking
you
about
hear
this
Mike
yesterday.
Church say,
All right,
hey,
let me
we're going to
explain.
talk about
I want to try and explain something to you, Lucy.
That's number 2, letter A, watchcompany.com. I have an arrangement with Josh
How many of you
and
remember
George.
were around
I tell you all the time, Josh and George are my
when the
buddies. They make
Affordable
these awesome
Care
watches.
Patient
And if you're in the market
Protection
for a
Act
great chronograph and you want to support some young
was passed
American
and
guys
signed
trying to
into
make it in,
So everyone
in
calls
this
it
world,
Obamacare.
But
the real name
as
is the
entrepreneurs, and you're going to buy a nice watch. Now, again, this is not a
Affordable
throwaway
Care
Seiko or a
Patient
Timex.
Protection Act. That's
You
what
buy a
it's
two-way
actually
watch
called.
company watch because it's
Obamacare.
really, really nice.
How many
It's
of you
well
were
made.
around when
They have beautiful
Obamacare
faceplates that are
passed?
very
Okay,
unique
raise your
and
hands
very
out there.
individual.
Moving
And you're going to keep in the box when you're not
pick
wearing
me.
it. Mine's in a case right now.
All right,
I'm
here,
not
look,
wearing
dude,
it.
I know you
It's
were
in
there.
It's in a case. You're going to treat it well. My point being,
How many of you then
you know that
remember
I have an arrangement
what the
with 2awatchcompany.com.
suggested remedy
You know, I have an arrangement
from
with
yours
my
truly
pillow.
and
You know,
others
I
like
had an
me.
arrangement with Legacy Food.
What did we say that needed
when
to be
I
done?
was a spokesman
We were going to what?
for Sleep Number
Nullify.
beds. Name your
Nullification.
product that we have
Nullification
been a
interposition. As a
spokesman
matter of fact, Tom
for
Woods' book,
all
Nullification,
of these
came
years.
out.
I
want to say in
always
2010, around the
present it
time
as
of the
an
Obamacare
ad. It's an
Act,
advertisement. I'm either
becoming
being
law.
directly paid and
And
compensated,
so, we
or
had guests on the
you
show
get what's
on the
called a
Sirius
per
XM
inquiry,
Patriot channel.
which
We had
is
state
you go to
legislators
2A Watch
on, we
Company.
had governors
If
on,
you go to buy a
Governor
watch and
Allen
use
of
the
Virginia
coupon code
on.
church, they're going to know that I
And
sent
the talk
you,
was
and I'm
that
going to get a
states were
commission.
going to
I'm a commission
nullify
salesman at that point.
nullify
And we
Obamacare. Of
have
course,
many
it,
accounts
now,
like that. I'd like to have more.
it never
as a matter of
happened.
fact.
No
But there's
state
an
ever
understanding
nullified
here. Okay, and I am not going
Obamacare.
to use
Well, what was
My Pillow or the 2A Watch Company as a topic thought show starter. And I'm certainly not going to make it appear as though that I'm talking about watches in general, but I just, you know what, the 2A Watch Company, they wouldn't have this kind of DEI watch face or whatever. So I'm not going to basically mislead you. These people are all misleading people. This Ian Miles Chong guy who is the editor. He's the editor. I'm wondering, well, he's the editor of Human Events, or what's left of Human Events. The Doherty guy, never heard of him before. You give him money to some guy whose name is not Jerome Powell, and then some other dude who goes by the fictitious name Clown World. Here's the problem with this, Plugola and Payola. Now, the reason why there is a problem with Payola, as I will explain, this is a huge deal. Here's the question that I have. By the way, you're free to
chat about this at crusadechannel.com/chat. And I wish more of you would. crusadechannel.com/chat. Go join the chat. In 1958 or so, disc jockey dude's name was Alan Freed. There was also a young guy whose name was Dick Clark. There was a battle that was brewing, like the story that I have. Did you print that story out that I sent you about the payola?
Nope. I have from Head News. No.
Well, I can read it from the screen. In 1950, here it is. It's a performing songwriter. In 1950, there were approximately 250 disc jockeys in the U.S. By 1957, the number had grown to over 5,000. The increase was partially due to the sheer amount of new records being produced, both by major and indie labels. As the name suggests, a disc jockey was responsible for sorting through all of these new releases. These on-air personalities had so much clout with younger listeners, Time magazine called them the poobahs of musical fashion and pillars of U.S. low and middle brow culture. Aware of their rising status, jocks established flat-rate deals with labels and record distributors. A typical deal for a mid-level DJ was $50 a week per record to ensure a minimum amount of spins. More influential jocks commanded percentages of grosses for local concerts, lavish trips, free records. There was a huge, huge Sony record scandal, and I don't want to say in the 1970s. And look, all of this was related. Why did radio stations all of a sudden start giving away concert tickets, and where'd they get them from? Why did radio stations start giving away new album releases, and where'd they get them from? Who told a program director what album or what cut off of an album ought to become a single and ought to be played on ABC radio station? All of this was done by men seeking advantage over others, which is why ultimately it became illegal to do. It was called payola. And this is the way it worked. You would usually, hey, it's a KingDude here, and I'm going to be playing DJ Jazzy Jeff's brand new record here. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. I don't give a crap. I don't give a care about DJ Jazzy Jeff or whoever. All I care about is that Chrysalis Records slid me $100 to play that record over another record, and I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that I was paid to do that. I'm going to make it sound like I chose to do it. That's what these influencers did on Twitter with the sodas. This is why I'm calling it Sodagate. I have another question, though. You know, you hear me talking all the time here on this show about the amount of people that listen at any one time, about the amount of people that can't see our social media posts because of all the shadow banning and all that, and about how it's almost impossible to grow an audience in the influencer world. And I wonder sometimes, somebody that I don't know and I cannot find a paper trail or a history of, all of a sudden has 2.5 million followers. And I'm going like, what the what? Now, see, Magdalene is she's a lot smarter than some of you think she is. Magdalene has been telling me this, and now I put two and two together. You know what's happening here. You have major corporations that are buying followers. I believe this is going to come out. That are buying followers for people that agree to promote their brands and defend their industry. As influencers. Look, dude, we'll put you in the driver's seat, but you got to do what we tell you to do once you get there. Somebody comes out against our brand, you got to defend us, and you got to make it look like you're doing the defending. This is as unethical as... Now, if you were to disclose it, then no one would follow you. If you were to say you were doing it, you're like, well, you're just a shill, dude, and people would stop following you. I got a lot to say about this. Hey, it's Mike Church, and I'm here to tell you how you can enjoy this whole show in crystal clear stereo. Ian Miles Chung, Eric Doherty, Clown World, and not Jerome Powell. You know what? Did Magdalene? I think Magdalene sent me a report. Hold on a second here. Yes.
Callie Means was talking about this. So, okay, here's what happened. Here's the genesis. Friday, RFK Jr. says something to the effect of, we're going to pass a rule, and we're going to pass it down to USDA, and we're going to say that you can't use SNAP benefits to buy Mountain Dews. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Well, you may be, and Ricky Bobby, or nephew of Ricky Bobby, but you're not using your SNAP card to pay for it. Now, this only makes sense because the drinks they're filled with mostly, it's not sugar anymore, it's high fructose corn syrup. It is, to me, it's like it's poison in a can here. You don't have to have a soft drink. You can have water, and they're not healthy for you. So to use soft drink and to be able, and it's something that is making people sick. As Callie Means points out, you get them hooked and addicted, and allow them to use poverty benefits to buy things that are going to destroy their pancreas and their health. And then you have the pharmaceutical company the industry, the industrial pharmaceuticals come right behind you. And they go, hey, don't worry, go ahead and destroy your pancreas and get diabetes. It's okay. We have this stuff called Ozempic. And don't worry, we'll give you insulin for the rest of your life. You can become a type 2 diabetes daily insulin user. You're going to have the thing implanted like my brother has in his arm. You can check your ACH1 and all this, and we'll be right with the world. Yeah, but you're like addicted to the 3 substances now. And now you got to run around with a meter stuck in your arm, and your phone is constantly going, hey man, hey bro, ACH count's too high, bro. You're going to code. This is a racket. So RFK Jr. comes out and says, well, we're not going to do that anymore. And then these influencers spring into action. Ian Miles Chong, a new war on soda has begun. Targeting purchases made through SNAP. I don't believe it's the government's role to decide what people should or shouldn't eat. The last time the U.S. government dove deep into dietary guidance, the whole world ended up with the questionable food pyramid. It also championed the COVID-19 vaccine as safe and effective. Promoting better health for Americans is a reasonable idea, but not when it involves curbing Diet Coke purchases. Restricting soda through SNAP is an unnecessary move by the government to control consumption, overstepping its authority and infringing on individual liberty. This guy is an in-the-tank, paid stooge. He's not alone. A half a dozen or so other influencers used their hundreds of thousands or millions of followers to promote a similar message. Well, something strange happened on the way to the bank to cash a check from Coca-Cola. Somebody ratted them all out. Somebody said, oh, wait a minute. You all came up with a similar message on the same day at about the same time? All in defense of getting hooked on Mountain Dew. Diet Coke, Pepsi, whatever the Hades. They were all bought and paid for by Coca-Cola, apparently. Now, what is that from Nick Sortor that you're putting up there? Okay, so this is the message that was on his what's that? I can't see it.
It was a message that was sent out to all influencers, and it was help push back against government overreach and defend personal choice. Efforts to restrict soda purchases through food aid programs are a clear example of bureaucratic overreach that unfairly targets consumer freedom. So he was sent that along with several other influencers and said, we'll pay you to help promote this.
So, and many of them took the money. Riley Gaines is one that turned it down. I guess Nick Sortor turned it down. Of course, I'm not an influencer, so I don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
And it was all based on your reach, how many members followed you or whatever. So if you had a few followers, you got a couple $100. If you had a large following, you got thousands. For each post.
Yeah. So you get money based on what you post. Now, if you disclose this, then just do an ad. That's fine. I do it all the time. I did one for My Pillow this hour. You, the audience, understand that when you hear Mike Church say, hey, we're going to talk about the 2awatchcompany.com. That's number 2, letter A, watchcompany.com. I have an arrangement with Josh and George. I tell you all the time, Josh and George are my buddies. They make these awesome watches. And if you're in the market for a great chronograph and you want to support some young American guys trying to make it in this world, or as American entrepreneurs, and you're going to buy a nice watch. Now, again, this is not a throwaway Seiko or a Timex. You buy a 2A Watch Company watch because it's really, really nice. It's well made. They have beautiful faceplates that are very unique and very individual. And you're going to keep it in the box when you're not wearing it. Mine's in a case right now. If I'm not wearing it, it's in a case. You're going to treat it well. My point being, you know that I have an arrangement with 2awatchcompany.com. You know, I have an arrangement with My Pillow. You know, I had an arrangement with Legacy Food when I was a spokesman for Sleep Number Beds. Name your product that we have been a spokesman for all of these years. I always present it as an ad. It's an advertisement. I'm either being directly paid and compensated, or you get what's called a per inquiry, which is you go to 2A Watch Company. If you go to buy a watch and use the coupon code CHURCH, they're going to know that I sent you, and I'm going to get a commission. I'm a commission salesman at that point. And we have many accounts like that. I'd like to have more, as a matter of fact. But there's an understanding here, okay? And I am not going to use My Pillow or the 2A Watch Company as a topic thought show starter. And I'm certainly not going to make it appear as though that I'm talking about watches in general, but I just, you know what, the 2A Watch Company, they wouldn't have this kind of DEI watch face or whatever. So I'm not going to basically mislead you. These people are all misleading people. This Ian Miles Chong guy, who is the editor, he's the editor. I'm wondering now, he's the editor of Human Events, or what's left of Human Events. The Doherty guy, never heard of him before. You give him money to some guy whose name is not Jerome Powell, and then some other dude who goes by the fictitious name Clown World. Here's the problem with this: Plugola and Payola. Now, the reason why there is a problem with Payola, as I will explain, this is a huge deal. Here's the question that I have. By the way, you're free to chat about this at crusadechannel.com/chat. And I wish more of you would. crusadechannel.com/chat. Go join the chat. In 1958 or so, disc jockey dude's name was Alan Freed. There was also a young guy whose name was Dick Clark. There was a battle that was brewing, like the story that I have. Did you print that story out that I sent you about the payola?
Nope. The hit from Hit News? No.
Well, I can read it from the screen. In 1950, here it is. It's a performing songwriter. In 1950, there were approximately 250 disc jockeys in the U.S. By 1957, the number had grown to over 5,000. The increase was partially due to the sheer amount of new records being produced, both by major and indie labels. As the name suggests, a disc jockey was responsible for sorting through all of these new releases. These on-air personalities had so much clout with younger listeners, Time magazine called them the poobahs of musical fashion and pillars of U.S. low and middle brow culture. Aware of their rising status, jocks established flat-rate deals with labels and record distributors. A typical deal for a mid-level DJ was $50 a week per record to ensure a minimum amount of spins. More influential jocks commanded percentages of grosses for local concerts, lavish trips, free records. There was a huge, huge Sony record scandal, and I want to say in the 1970s. And look, all of this was related. Why did radio stations all of a sudden start giving away concert tickets, and where'd they get them from? Why did radio stations start giving away new album releases, and where'd they get them from? Who told a program director what album or what cut off of an album ought to become a single and ought to be played on ABC radio station? All of this was done by men seeking advantage over others, which is why ultimately it became illegal to do. It was called payola. And this is the way it worked. You would usually, hey, it's a KingDude here, and I'm going to be playing DJ Jazzy Jeff's brand new record here. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. I don't give a crap. I don't give a care about DJ Jazzy Jeff or whoever. All I care about is that Chrysalis Records slid me $100 to play that record over another record, and I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that I was paid to do that. I'm going to make it sound like I chose to do it. That's what these influencers did on Twitter with the sodas. This is why I'm calling it Sodagate. I have another question, though. You know, you hear me talking all the time here on this show about the amount of people that listen at any one time, about the amount of people that can't see our social media posts because of all the shadow banning and all that, and about how it's almost impossible to grow an audience in the influencer world. And I wonder sometimes, somebody that I don't know and I cannot find a paper trail or a history of, all of a sudden has 2.5 million followers. And I'm going like, what the what? Now, see, Magdalene is she's a lot smarter than some of you think she is. Magdalene has been telling me this, and now I put 2 and 2 together. You know what's happening here. You have major corporations that are buying followers. I believe this is going to come out. That are buying followers for people that agree to promote their brands and defend their industry. As influencers, look, dude, we'll put you in the driver's seat, but you got to do what we tell you to do once you get there. Somebody comes out against our brand, you got to defend us, and you got to make it look like you're doing the defending. This is as unethical as... Now, if you were to disclose it, then no one would follow you. If you were to say you were doing it, you're like, well, you're just a shill, dude, and people would stop following you. I got a lot to say about this. Hey, it's Mike Church, and I'm here to tell you how you can enjoy this whole show in crystal clear stereo. Ian Miles Chung, Eric Doherty.
Happened 20 years ago. Jurassic Park, the remake of Godzilla, and the beginning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Are either of you homosexuals?
You mean like flaming, or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
Let's hope and pray no one will ever confess those sins again. The Mike Church Show, preaching and teaching from his abbey while living here in the present on the Veritas Radio Network's crusade.
Big news today, $20 billion. Hyundai making a big announcement. They're going to build a steel plant here in the Bayou State in Louisiana. Governor Jeff Landry is on with Sandra Harris right now talking about, I guess he's at the White House for the big announcement here. How many trillions has Trump racked up in investments so far? You had the number earlier. It's an incredible amount of a number here. Folks, Mike Church here with you. Maggie's going to give me the actual tally here on a Monday. Performing this show with two-thirds. No, I'm going with 71.2% of my testosterone tied behind my back. Just to make it fair. An oasis of toxic masculinity, Catholic, Christian, Constitution, common sense, awash in a sea of despondent, single, angry, ugly cat ladies. The Mike Church Show is on. Yeah, Governor Landry is at the White House to make the big announcement here. Now, they're building the Hyundai plant in Louisiana, right? Mm-hmm. And it includes a steel mill. So there are two. Is it in the pile? Okay. I'm going to get into the story here. I want to finish my here it is. South Korea's Hyundai. This portion of the program brought to you by, well, you know, folks, I got to tell you, if you haven't tried either of the Acadiana steak seasoning or the chicken mamu, your kitchen is not complete. That chicken mamu right there may be one of the most versatile seasonings, and I didn't intend it to be like that. It was made for chicken, and it does chicken well. You can use it pretty much on anything. Get you a bottle or 16 or a case today at shop.mikechurch.com. I got some videos I'm going to be putting up there that we have been shooting from using the Mamu and the Acadiana. I used the Acadiana yesterday for a steak. Shop with us and try our rubs. There are 3 of them: beast and butt rub, Acadiana steak seasoning, and chicken Mamu. One-stop shopping, one shipping cost. That's at shop.mikechurch.com. Throw the coffee in while you're there. Throw the cigars in and the books while you're there. Get something to read. All at the same place, shop.mikechurch.com. South Korea's Hyundai is said to announce a $20 billion investment in the United States, including a $5 billion steel plant in Louisiana. I told you people this. I told you. You can't manufacture very many things without steel. You need steel. To have a steel plant in Louisiana, in the Great South, that means steelworker jobs. That means, the pipeline, what do they call it? Not the trickle-down effect. There's a term in economics for it. And in any event, to have a plant that is making that kind of a needed industrial material to manufacture steel, which means you take an iron ore in and then turning it into whatever kind of steel it is huge. And this is the kind of manufacturing you bring back to the United States, and then other industries will follow because they need the steel. I mean, you name it. It's not just cars. Hell, making trains. You may need more trains now. So, the Louisiana governor's office in the White House were not immediately available for comment. Well, he's there. I think Trump's going to make the announcement. And so we're going to get to it here momentarily. Call in line telephone number. This is a call-in show, 844-527-8723. I want to go back to what I was talking about last hour, and we'll catch up on the steel mill and the business or the business announcement. So you sent me just before I move on.
I put it in this chat room.
Okay. Maggie assumes that I'm in the chat room at all times. Okay, there it is. Does it give a total?
2.9.
It's 2.924. How much is that, my lord? $2.9424 trillion in investment has been flowed into the U.S. Saudi Arabia, $600 billion, Hyundai, $20 billion, Apple, $500 billion, Nvidia, $100 billion, SoftBank, Oracle, OpenAI, $100 billion, TSMC, $100 billion, Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion, CMA, CGM Group, $20 billion, Eli Lilly, that's big pharmaceutical, $27 billion, Merck, $1 billion, that's another pharmaceutical, GE Aerospace, a cool $1 billion. Add it all together, and you get $2.924 trillion in investment here.
Tell me again how tariffs don't work.
Yeah. Well, I said that last week. Do tariffs work? You better believe tariffs work. They haven't even gone into effect yet. Wait until they go into effect. So, huge, definitely huge, big, huge news. Okay, let's go back to
What in the world is going on with the people with the chat room? It must be kicking people out. That's got to be a software glitch. There's no way the chat room attendance has fallen, has plummeted to this level. You know, I guess we're going to have to start bribing people. Did we ever bribe people? How did we get 100 and some odd people a day in the chat room during the Corona doom?
Because they had nothing else to do.
Maggie says because they had nothing else to do. I'm going to just start, okay, why did you guys all run? Are you scared? Okay, who's scared? Who is chasing people away? Maybe it's me. Is it Isaconis? Is it Dr. Torres? Is it Jaffo Jeff? Somebody's playing a hobgoblin in there. All right, let me go back and finish up why ethics matter and why I was spending time talking about it and why all of these influencers. Have you seen that? Has anyone else tried to explain this the way I explain it? No. Okay, who was the guy that told Eric Doherty, no one should ever trust you again? Why should anyone read you and think that you're like ahead of the curve? You're telling them, now, folks, none of these people, Ian Miles Chung may be the only one that actually has a couple of brain cells to rub together and puts his own spin or take on things from time to time. He is an editor, after all, of human events. All of these other people are what are called aggregators. They take content that other people make and then they put it out as their own, as if they discovered it, and as if without them you can't get it, which is why I'm always suspect of someone that has millions of followers and I go to their Wikipedia page and it just, like, they just appeared a year ago. And I go like, how? What did you do? Because I'm in this business and it matters to me. Like when I'm trying to book a guest, a big A-list guest, they're going to go like, how many followers do you have? Because everyone is fixated on numbers. Well, what if the people that are numerically following someone like Eric Doherty or whatever, what if they're bots? What if they were just bought and paid for by one of these sponsors? Okay, let me finish the explanation of the payola and why shilling for the Coca-Cola and the other drink companies ought to call into question the people that took the money. There are a lot of them. We know who didn't take it. Nick Sordor said he didn't take it. Riley Gaines said he didn't take it. Who else? Was anyone else that said they didn't take it? That you saw? I wonder if they went to Cat Turd. Probably. I'd be shocked if they didn't go to Cat Turd. Okay, in 1950, I'm going to tell you a story that no one else is going to tell you because I know it. And that's why you tune in here on the Mike Church Show, because we do things long form and I can tell you things and inform you about things, hopefully in an entertaining way, so that you have the full breadth of the story and you know why things are messed up. Ethics in broadcasting. Why is the media at a 12% approval rating? Because and these people, by the way, the ones that took the money from Coke, those are all MAGA. Fake MAGA influencers. As Maggie said during our show prep session this morning, these people aren't here for you. They're not here because they care about you or they care about anything else. Which they care about money. They are here to get clicks. They are there to get clicks. They are there to get likes, and then that's it. And then to use the clicks and the likes to pad their bank accounts. It's not about human flourishing or making the world a better place. It's not about getting to the truth and defending it. They'll do that if it's in their interest. And at the end of the day, when you find out when they do things like my thing is, you didn't think that there was like some kind of ethical breach of you not telling people that the drink company paid you to shill against RFK Jr. and the ban on the purchasing of crap in the SNAP program? Folks, this is and there were dozens of these people. This is an ethical breach of epic proportions. The fact that it didn't occur to any of them, it still hasn't occurred to Eric Doherty, who was it who told him, dude, you want to lose all your followers? You go, you're right. Maybe I should. No maybes. You should.
In 1950, let me tell you a story of why this matters. In 1950, there were approximately 250 disc jockeys in the U.S. By 1957, the number had grown to over 5,000. Okay, we covered that last hour. Aware of their rising status, the jocks would charge a fee to the record companies to pay their record. Okay, I told you that. As Cleveland DJ Joe Finnan later described the decade, it was a blur of booze, broads, and bribes. You ever heard that? Booze, broads, and bribes? Well, there you go. And look, they used women to lure the DJs as well. Is this in the White House? Is this cabinet meeting live?
No incentive for them to use it. But what is good is the tariffs will make it so that they want to come back. That's why they're coming back. I think they're coming back because of the election that took place on November 5th and because of the fact that they have to come back because the tariffs are forcing them to come back. And remember, there are no tariffs if you build here, and that's a big factor. So we have record numbers. Howard was just telling me the numbers that we're talking about are crazy, beyond anybody's wildest expectation. So they'll be doing a lot of building, all sorts of businesses, including the basics of automobiles. We have, as you know, Honda is coming in with a massive plant to Indiana, but there are many plants that are happening, and literally some are started already. General Motors is already redoing plants that were half abandoned, or they have plants that weren't being fully utilized. They're going to be, they and others are going to be making parts and other things in those plants so that it's one-stop shopping finally. It's ridiculous. You had to go to Mexico, you had to go to Canada, a car went all over the place. It was
Stop the tape for just a second.
That would have worked, but
pause
that's the way
real quick.
it sort of ended.
I just want to point out, there was a conversation in the chat room a couple of years or so ago about automobile parts. I asked a question, and somebody jumped in there. It might have been Tar Heel Militia. Went, dude, you can't buy that part in the United States. You have to get it from China. I think it was brakes. I think we were talking about brakes or disc brake, the discs, the rotor, and then maybe the brake pads or whatever. It was something that was made with metal, and you guys went and jumped in the chat room and said, you have to buy it. You can't. They don't make them here anymore. They will now. They will now. Because the tariffs are going to make it so cost prohibitive to have your crap manufactured by people in China. All right, I just wanted to point that out. He's right about this. You should cheer on the automobile manufacturer, especially. Yeah, but it's a Korean company. And dude, it's competition. You want competition. Competition causes innovation, and it drives prices down. You tell President Trump works with the EPA and the Energy Department. Get out of the business of regulating cars. Get out. You don't need to do it anymore. Stop doing it. Outside of mandating that there's a VIN number so we can identify it if it kills someone, you don't have a role and you need to get out of the business. All right, roll the tape.
We had a deal, and we have a deal, which is fine, but people took advantage of the deal. They cheated. And when you cheat, the deals are unfortunate. But now what's happening is the numbers are beyond our wildest expectations. Now, having to do with cutting, we've done a lot of cutting from people, ideally the people that aren't doing the job. In many cases, people weren't attending jobs. In some cases, in many cases, people didn't exist. They had on the government rolls people that don't even exist. But of the ones that did exist, as you know, many didn't come to work. Many had no intention of coming to work. Many were paid and working someplace else. There were lots of bad scenarios, but they're being weeded out, and I think we're probably ahead of schedule on that. And to me, something that was just terrible is the contracts that we're finding, the fraudulent contracts that we're finding where millions and millions of dollars and even billions of dollars in some cases were given out. And I think we'll start with that. I'd like to start with Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior.
Okay, I'm going to come back to this if Governor Landry comes on. I want to go back to the ethics, and I want to go back to the payola plugola, because, we work very hard here for our reputation, and it means something to us. We work very hard here for making sure that when we tell you things on air that we can back them up and that they are actually true and accurate. If they're not, then I will come out and tell you, and I will be the one that will do the disclaimer or will do the retraction. We work very hard on your behalf. There are certain things that I think that are important for people to know, and that they ought to know exactly what happened and how it happened, and you ought to know the truth of the matter. And then I'm going to throw my 2 cents in. And I know we're going to have a good time. We're going to entertain you along the way. True. But it all begins with the truth. Wait, he's got Elon. I want to hear the Elon answer the question.
I think the youngest, Kelly, was a 9-month-old who got a $100,000 loan. That's a very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Well, we're tackling the fraud, waste, and abuse in the agency. We've seen, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud go unprosecuted, so we're taking that on. We have a zero tolerance policy for fraud.
A 9-month-old baby got a
continue to crack
SBA
down on
loan.
it and make sure people are held accountable.
It's amazing. And you have a lot of that. You found far too much of it. It's a pure fraud. We like to use the words waste and abuse because they sort of sound good, but many of these things are pure fraud. Now, there was a contract that you've heard about where Stacey Abrams got $2 billion just before we took over, and it was a rush to get her the money, and that was environmental, and nobody knows what she was doing. But $2 billion. If you got $2 million, that's a lot. If you got 200,000, that's a lot. But this was $2 billion was given. Lee, do you want to talk about that? And the other one that was even worse?
EPA
I tell you what it was.
Canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts. $2 billion going to this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. They received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs, and they're all pass-throughs. And then they were giving it to other entities, many of them were pass-throughs. And what you have is all these extra middlemen, they're taking their cut. And the taxpayer ends up getting screwed. They're losing out on all this hard-earned money. They can't afford to have the federal government waste. The partnership with Doge and Elon Musk has been incredible at EPA. Their team is very talented. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And of course, this mandate from President Trump to make sure that we identify every last penny, whether we're saving $50,000, $5 million, or $22 billion. We will not rest until every last penny is saved. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do this for the American public.
Thank you. Great job, you know. So we have a lot of that.
Okay, I want to point something out here, and we'll keep jumping in on the cabinet meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new day. You've never been inside a cabinet meeting before. I know I haven't. This is like our third now. It's becoming old hats, like going to the moon. So by the time they got to Apollo 17, it was, oh, another moonshot. Oh, it's boring. No one's ever been inside a cabinet meeting. They closed the doors because they don't want anyone to hear. This is actually conducting state business, the business of the United States, in public. It shouldn't be lost on people. Yeah, but it's just a gimmick, KingDude. I like the gimmick. I don't care if it's a gimmick. For the first time, you know what this ultimately results in? Accountability. How are you? You tell me, what is the antithesis? What's the antidote to that if you're the opposition party? You know, Jeffrey Tucker had a piece at the Epic Times issue that just came out. I was reading it yesterday, and Tucker was writing about how this is going to take years. It's going to take Elon and the Doge Bros years to find out just how many people have been attached to this. You remember it went back in the day in the old Sirius XM Patriot Channel days? I used to call it the 5.5 or the 3.5 trillion headed hydra that is perched on the banks of the Potomac River. It literally is a trillion headed hydra. And no one knows where all the tentacles are. Okay, Mike Churchill here on the Crusade Radio Network. Our March crowdfunding, we only got a couple days left, folks. I need your help. Got to get to that number. Go to crusadechannel.com/donate. crusadechannel.com/donate. Make a $100 donation today, and I will give you one of these and a hand-signed thank you, wax sealed thank you note that says, "Citizen, you will obey your federal overlord." This t-shirt is out of print. I put it back into print. No, I didn't. I just happened to find one. $100 at crusadechannel.com/donate, and it's yours. Isn't that cool? You look really closely, by the way. You can see the Obama O there. You see the Obama O? There's another feature to it I'm not going to tell you, but if you get it in the mail because you made the donation, you'll see it. Go to crusadechannel.com/donate. I'll read your name out from the YouTube chat or from the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Okay. Here is what happened with and why it matters, why the influencers matter. You just heard President Trump and Elon Musk and then Lee Zeldin talk about how they did it at the EPA. You know how the MAGA bros, the conservative bro fakes on X.com and other social media influencing pages, you know how they're doing it? This guy is called Pine Barren. If you're curious how the influencer media payoff works on the right, here's a short explainer. Coca-Cola never actually writes a check to Ian Miles Chong. First, the Coke money is laundered to a libertarian or pro-capitalism think tank as a donation. Then a PR person for the think tank sent an email blast to all of these conservative bro influencers with versions of the post to make. No direct compensation is attached, but it maintains the implicit promise of future access and funds. So Ian can say he honestly never took a check, and that may be true, but that's not the entirety of the story. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Broadcast TV, NBC called his Thursday night lineup.
Things that were happening 20 years ago. Jurassic Park, the remake of Godzilla, and the beginning of Don't Ask.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack.
On the forefront of cultural restoration, it is I, the Duty Llama, Rufus R. Freight Train Dude, Mike Churchill here on the Crusade Radio Network on a Monday. Can you tell? All right, we need some activity in that YouBoob chat there. You clap that dollar symbol in there and make yourself a donation. I'll call you out, too. And same as in the Crusader Stadium chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. RFK Jr. is speaking.
We've identified extraordinary waste in my department and HHS. The expenditures, the budget of HHS during the Biden administration went up by 38%. The employees went up by 17%, and healthcare went down. We have 40 comms departments. We have 40 procurement departments. We have 40 IT departments, and we have 40 procurement, HR, none of them talking to each other. We are, with Elon's help, eliminating the redundancies. We are streamlining our department. We're going to go back to providing gold standard science. We're going to get the money to the scientists and to the patients rather than to the administrators and to the bureaucrats. And we're going to restore gold standard science, and we're going to make America healthy again.
Thank you very much. It's great. If you might, Madam Secretary, say a little bit about what's happening and how well we've done at the border.
Sir, this last week I was in area, Alaska.
By the way, you won't catch this. You won't catch this. So it's a good thing you have me here to help you catch it.
And that we know who's coming into
They all refer to him as sir.
Keep it great.
Nobody goes, yeah, Don, you know, we're hanging out by the pool. Sir, well, sir, we have... Lee Zeldin said, sir.
Just getting the worst of the worst out. We're making sure that there's consequences for being here and committing crimes in our communities. And the numbers are continuing to escalate and to go up, sir. This week I'm headed down to El Salvador. I'll be in the prison where we sent TDA members. I'll be meeting with the president and also Colombia and Mexico and talking about building these relationships so that we can continue to get people out of this country that don't belong here and take them home. And also you had talked to me about sending the message worldwide about the fact that people shouldn't be coming to this country and they shouldn't be coming here illegally. So we are in several other countries around the world with a message right now that's saying, if you are thinking about coming to America illegally and coming here, don't do it. You are not welcome. We have a legal process to becoming a United States citizen, and there are consequences if you come here illegally, and America has changed because we're putting Americans first. So we've also, the Coast Guard has done phenomenal work. I don't know if you all have reported on it, but we have broken historic records in the amount of drug interdictions that they have brought in. We've repositioned the fleet to go after the fentanyl crisis and to go after the southern border and securing it, and they've done amazing work as far as that. We were down in Florida. They brought in $500 million worth of cocaine that they had done in 14 interdictions and had brought them in, going right directly after the cartels and doing great work there. And
all right, thank you to Gladys Kravitz Jr. Thank you, Gladys. I appreciate your $20 contribution in the YouTube stadium over there at Crusade Radio Network. It's youtube.com/@RealKingDude. All right, I got to finish up on this topic here. I'm never going to get to it. I want to go back to the... I got to find it now. I'm going to go back to the discussion here about, okay, how do they launder the money in the conserva bros? How do they do it? Here you go. So Coca-Cola never actually writes a check to Ian Miles Chong. First, the Coke money is laundered to a libertarian or pro-capitalism think tank as a donation. No direct compensation. Then a PR person for the think tank sent an email blast to all of these conserva bro influencers with versions of the post to make. No direct compensation is attached, but it maintains the implicit promise of future access and funds. So, Ian can say he honestly never took a check from Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola can say they never paid a bunch of social media influencers to advocate for taxpayer-funded obesity, because that's what it is. And yet, thanks to the magic of middlemen, that's exactly what happened. And he says, I didn't exactly expect this post to blow up, or I would have spent more time on it. A few clarifying points. The middleman in this case is likely a PR firm, not a think tank. But there's a whole mess of various orgs that do this, and the line is blurred between them. I'm not explaining why certain influences, like soda, I'm explaining why they all dropped extremely similar posts that seem centrally coordinated. It's certainly possible that there were direct cash payments, but I guarantee they didn't come from Coca-Cola or even one of its major lobbying partners. The stuff gets funneled down through subcontractors for plausible deniability. So in other words, you have USAID for conserva bro, X.com, and other social media influencers. And people can say, oh, why does it matter? They're not disclosing it. It is by any other means a grift. If we were okay, let's just say tomorrow when we're on WGSO, 9:90 a.m. in New Orleans, and we will be. Let's just say that I promise to a local restaurant that I happen to know that I made a deal with, hey man, hey Kyle, I'm going to do a broadcast advertisement for your chain of restaurants. It's going to cost you $100, and I'm going to do it twice, once on Tuesday and once on Thursday. In the broadcast business, I actually have to, and you actually have to do this, you actually have to swear out an affidavit that you made the deal with the guy or the entity, that you consummated the deal, it means you pay for it, and that you discharge your end of the deal because you broadcast the paid advertisement. So in other words, you have to check it into the record. So everyone that's involved in the chain there, if you do it on a radio station, has to then basically you gotta say that you did it and you gotta sign your name to it. What these clowns are doing is just doing an end around that. And Coca-Cola doesn't care because it's donating to a nonprofit, which is going to deduct from its profits and say, no, we supported this this quack of a nonprofit that is a think tank or just whatever it is that they, the nonprofit work that they do, which is, as I said, if you bring the Internal Revenue Service to an end and you have the External Revenue Service, what happens to all the nonprofits? Well, they just become nonprofits. And the game of hiding money from taxation ends. Who knows how much more revenue, and I don't think the government needs another nickel, but who knows how much more revenue actually goes if you remove the grift that is the 501c3. Now, somebody's going to say, yeah, but you got a nonprofit. I got one because I'm just playing the game. I'm more than happy to bring it to an end, just proclaim myself as a nonprofit, and they go about my business. One more part of this this conservative bro, this grift here, and why it matters. How many of you know who are the two major music publishing companies? Or royalty collection companies and artist defense company. How many of you know who they are? I'll tell you who they are. One is called BMI, Maggie's favorite. And then the other one is called ASCAP, American Society of Composers, Authors. I think it's publisher. What does the P stand for? It's been a long time. It's published. Okay. I am a paid member of ASCAP. So I used to get a ballot every year. You know, you get to vote on things and everything. I am a paid member. I refuse to join BMI because they're criminals or crooks. Instead, I wanted to join the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, which there aren't a lot of us left that are in ASCAP. Now, why do I bring it up? Why do I bring it up? Go get your favorite album if you still have albums. Go get it. Go look back on a record back from it doesn't matter, 60s, 70s, 80s, when they were still making, 90s, still making albums. Go look on the credits of your album, and you will see on almost all instances that who is listed as a copyright, patent, or licensing entity. It's almost always BMI. Hardly anyone goes through ASCAP anymore. So let me tell you. So Maggie owned a bar. It's called Rick and Jackson Lake Charles. You put a jukebox in there, and every time a song comes up on the jukebox, you got to pay BMI a bribe, basically, a royalty. It's called royalty payments. If you have a band, if you have a live band come in and they do cover songs, if they cover a song, then you got to pay the royalty just like it came on, like it was played in a jukebox. So not only do you have to pay for the band live, which is why I don't know why people let bands come in, because it can't possibly be worth the money, because you got to pay the band and you got to pay BMI. How did BMI get to where they are? Well, ASCAP is older. The American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers is older. And it was one of those old vocational, it was almost like a guild. When you got to fill a form out to get into ASCAP. They read your application and all that. How did BMI beat ASCAP? They cheated. They went to people like Alan Freed and Dick Clark, and they bought the DJs, and they said, play the BMI artist, don't play the ASCAP artist. And so if you are listed with ASCAP, you're going like, why the hell why isn't my record being played? My record's as good as those clowns. And it was because BMI illegally went in and bought influence with the radio DJs. And the influence included don't play ASCAP records. So this is an example. Now, how does that apply to X.com and your conserva bros being on the take from the Dunlop Foundation, which is a huge one that gives the libertarians. You know who is financed by a trust fund that's a nonprofit? The Online Library of Liberty. I want to say that is the Dunlop fortune. The Koch brothers donate tens of millions to Big Giant Libertarian. You ever wonder, hey, why does here, this is an easy one for you. Why does the Heritage Foundation ask you to give them $100 a month? Because they're going to defend liberty and freedom. Freedom! Like Ted Cruz was here. Yeah, and they put a newsletter out there all day. You know what else they do? They take your money, because they're a nonprofit, and they do what I just told you the Libertarian think tank does. And they influence people. They pay, and they'll just call it like, no, it's a stipend. He's going to write a little piece for us. They pay for people to write and then to promote their agenda. You know, there's a reason why, and I've talked about this on the show before. There's a reason why you can't get, or I can't get, certain. You won't see anything that we publish on the Crusade Radio Network or at the KingDude on X.com. Yeah, I think my number one tweet of all time had like 80,000, and it was just a freak because some leftard influencer got angry with me and republished it, and it was a bunch of hate. It's almost impossible. Maggie, they're worse than the mafia. I can't crack into success on X.com. I can't do it. It doesn't matter if I sat there and I published all day long. It doesn't matter. I could pretend like I was successful, and I could buy a bunch of bots. They could say that they were friends, because you can't get coverage, because the big companies, your Coca-Colas, and just like that's why I say this matters. Everything that you see on social media is complete and total controlled opposition. There may be a couple of outliers in there, like maybe Callie Means and his sister, because they got published by Tucker Carlson, who has the millions of views, and now they have lots of followers because people like Tucker and they saw it. Almost everything that you see is controlled opposition. It's coming from someone that has an agenda, and they want this particular point of view. As a matter of fact, if Brother Andre Marie is listening, Brother's got an amazing piece. Here, I'll just share the title with you. Algocracy. Now, brother, are you saying algocracy or algocracy? Bipartisan, government for the New World Order. And Brother Andre refers to an episode of the Corbett Report. The episode of the Corbett Report podcast below is illuminating. Directly via official government appointment or indirectly via government private sector cooperation, the following technologists are part of or tied to the current Trump administration. He goes through the list. Mark Anderson, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Ben Horowitz, Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Masayoshi Son, Thomas Shedd, Howard Lutnick, and Alex Karp. Many of these are dark characters with strange beliefs and aspirations. At least two are homosexuals. That's Thiel and Altman. Some on record speaking of the near approach of singularity. Musk. Others extol the virtues of government surveillance programs. That's Ellison. Or use these such technologies to assist a tyrannical regime, literally to get to target and kill people. All of them are rich and powerful with a vested interest in mining the kind of data that AI coupled with surveillance technology will give them access to. This is not freedom, it is slavery. And he quotes James Corbett, algocracy, or algo, because it's algorithm, right? So algocracy means rule by algorithm, what I just kind of described to you. And as James details in today's important episode of the Corbett Report podcast, it's a word that we would do well to become acquainted with. And as you will discover in this presentation, algocracy is being seeded into the public consciousness right now by the very same big tech broligarchs. Broligarchs, I love that. Hey man, are you a member of the broligarchy? That's what AOC and the communists ought to be. It shouldn't be the fight the oligarchy. It should be fight the broligarchy. Broligarchy. Big tech broligarchs who are now in a position to implement their plan for locking down society in an AI-run dystopian surveillance nightmare. Now, I'm not going to get into the rest of it because I got a whole show that we planned and plotted for you to do today. I'm just going to say one word I will counter that for just a moment. As Don from the Bronx says, they can scheme all the evil that they want. Don't make the assumption and let it ruin your day or your week or your month and let it drive you bonkers that they're going to get away with it or that they're going to succeed. It's just as likely that these people are operating outside of grace. There's only so many things that the demons can actually assist them with. There are other forces out there where sin abounds, grace abounds more, right? And there's what St. Paul says. So don't assume that just because they schemed it up and they dreamed it up that they're going to get away with it. Now, that doesn't mean drop your guard, and that doesn't mean go along with it. That doesn't mean that they won't have some successes, because I'm sure that they will. But it's, to me, you're just going to make yourself miserable assuming that all their plans are going to come true. Oh my God, they're going to come and get me. Everyone is going to be a Hudson at that point. Right?
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop, ever, until you are dead.
They don't win them all. They also spent $1.5 billion to elect Kamala Harris and lost. All right, let's do some digital media files while we have time. That cabinet meeting is still going on. By the way, that's Sean Duffy speaking now. I'm just going to see what the transportation secretary.
In government, it takes way too long. So technology changes and money changes and administrations change. We have to do this fast, which is why we need the partnership from the Congress to give us the money up front. The best ideas and the best technology available in the world, we're going to build in the system. I think, Mr. President, we can do it in 3 years. I think Trump Tower was built in 3 or 3.5 years. I think we could match the Trump Tower time frame.
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Maybe not that good, but about 2 years. About 3 years. And again, we have to choreograph because again, our towers are operational, keeping planes in the air. So we got to choreograph this, but we can do it in short order. If I can just make one other point, Mr. President, we're $36 trillion in debt. You've never had a Doge. We've never come in and looked at our government the way, Mr. President, you've looked at this government and said, there's too many people, there's contracts, fraud, waste, and abuse. And so we've had a few bumps in the road as we've gone through this process, but if you look around this room, everybody has seen how the process has evolved, and everyone appreciates some of the insight and technical support that we've gotten to make this government more efficient, to make it more responsive to the American people. And so, again, when you have a new system like this, you'll get some bumps. But things are rolling out. The last 3 weeks have been much, much better as our teams have integrated and we're working to deliver for the.
All right, we're going to go back to playing digital media. I just wanted to hear what the transportation secretary will say. They can get a harump out of that guy. Give me liberty or give me death. By the way, Road to Independence 2 DVD disc set still available. Shop.mikechurch.com. Newly available, and now you get a boost. What?
I just found Times That Try Men's Souls in there as well.
Oh, we have Times That Try Men's Souls. Yeah, our docudramas are second to none. Here's Trump talking about Patrick Henry the other day.
Give me liberty or give...
Something's playing in the background again.
Hang on. That sounded like that sounded like the aforementioned president. Also, if you're following what we're go ahead and play the clip.
Give me liberty or give me death. I signed a proclamation a few moments ago honoring the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's famous speech to the Second Virginia Convention, in which he declared very well-known, very famous words, give me liberty or give me death. Has anyone heard the phrase? I think most of you have.
Have anyone heard the phrase? I think most of you have. Next hour, the vanishing white male writer. We're going to get into this piece in this post by Rod Dreher. We're going to talk a little bit more about the wrestler that won the wrestling, the championship yesterday, Wyatt Hendrickson, at the NCAA championship. You know, in the minute or so that we have left, I want to just, because it has something to do with one of the subjects here. Here's how DEI screws everything up. How many of you watched any of the March Madness NCAA tournament this weekend? Some of you might have seen it on Paramount Plus. Some of you may have seen it on ESPN. If you saw it on ESPN, you might have seen the Oregon-Arizona game, which was not possible to watch with the sound on. Because ESPN has this DEI totally, absolutely just grating on your nerves broad that they stick in the broadcast booth. They do it, they put her on football games, and you go like, and you turn the game on, you go, you really wanted to watch this particular college game, and you go, no! Well, she was calling that game, and I told Mrs. Shirley, if you're going to watch the rest of this game, you're going to have to hit mute. We're going to have to watch it without the sound, because she absolutely just destroys the telecast, and it's not necessary. So we can talk about the white guys and fiction when we come back, and all that will then come together. I promise. Attention coffee lovers, our Capuchin Dark
Satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no, thanks. Just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there. You didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
The MAGA monster of the midday, the Mike Church Show is on. You got it. We are live. By the way, I cut a reel this morning that is just a couple of minute and a half long. It gives you the 30,000-foot view of the plug all pale conserva bro scam on X.com that we were talking about earlier today, and why this matters. 844-527-8723, call in-line telephone number. This portion of the program, folks, I know it's Lent. Yes, yes. Tomorrow's the Feast of the Annunciation. For those of you that are finding yourselves with a little bit of time outdoors because it has warmed up, especially if you're in the South, don't forget that fish on the grill, if you're just doing a meatless Lent, you can use either the chicken mamu or the Acadiana steak seasoning. It should be Acadiana steak and fish because it's great. is fantastic on shrimp, scallops, fish, you name it. We use it all the time. And of course, the old standby, the Beast and Butt Rub. Get you a bottle or 6 today, and throw a couple of Manchipia Marie cigars in there. We got plenty of stock, freshly made, and sizes. And the Capuchin. All right, who said that the Capuchin Holy Roast blend is the best blend that she's had? Cindy, right? Cindy L. said that she and that she finally got a chance to try it and had sampled it and goes like, this is, I think the KingDude's right. This is superior to your Capuchin Dark Roast. The Capuchin Holy Roast, like I said, is more right down the street. The coffee nerd, dude, helped me with that blend. And that is a blended coffee that is just as good as any coffee that you're going to have. And it's reasonably priced, too. You know, I see a lot of people that sell gourmet coffees, $15, $16 a bag. You can get a bag of Capuchin Holy Roast for a lot less than that in grind or in whole bean. Give it a shot. You're going to drink coffee anyway. You might as well get ours. So shop.mikechurch.com. Shop.mikechurch.com. And thank you very much. What?
I shipped out every bag this morning.
Oh, we're out of stock? Okay, well, I got to call. You people on the YouTube that are new to the show and all that, there's lots of things. You should become Founders Pass members and then head over to crusadechannel.com/chat and go chat in that chat room. And you might even make a friend. All right, let's play some digital media files. Oh, I want to hear this one. You know, I didn't even know this. Play number 6, Kash Patel. You know, some of these guys that are these cabinet secretaries are, you know, they're out there, they're on Fox News, and I guess Fox must have some kind of a deal, the Trump administration, because they're all on. I don't see them on the networks. I mean, on the Sunday shows they go on, but I don't see them on the networks. Kash Patel on with Trey Gowdy was asked about, okay, well, can you update the American citizens out there on what's happening with the criminals and at the FBI?
Director, it's only been a month, but it's been a busy month. And I think part of your success is the good relationship you have with your colleagues, whether it be John Ratcliffe, whether it be Mike Waltz. I mean, it is a really good national security team. But update us on some things, some highlights of your first month that maybe we missed.
I really appreciate this. This shows what the men and women of the FBI can do when they have leadership who are in lockstep with the national security mission of safeguarding our citizens. Just in the last 3 weeks, Trey, the FBI has arrested and brought to justice, thanks to the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi, 3 top 10 of the FBI's most wanted. Let me just say that again. Not 1, not 2, but 3 of the FBI's most wanted top 10 are now in custody because of our relationships with folks like Director Ratcliffe and Secretary Hegseth and Rubio, and the list goes on. But we've also returned to justice in just 1 short week's time one of the architects of the Abbey Gate explosion that killed 13 of our service members. We did that in 1 week, flying through multiple countries and going into Pakistan and utilizing our liaison relationships and the leverage that we have, thanks to great guys like Johnny Ratcliffe, and getting a modicum of justice to the American people. And just to put that in perspective, those folks have been on the run for 4 years. And in the last 12 months before I got into this seat, Trey, do you know how many top 10 FBI's most wanted were arrested by the FBI? 0. That's the difference. 4 weeks in, we got 3, and we're just warming up.
0.0.
The Biden regime caught nobody. You know why? Because they weren't trying. Because they don't care. Oh, golly. Here, do the next one. Okay. I'm warning you, my friends. You know, we need an AOC update song. We need an AOC update song. What is that that's playing in your window down there? That's from like a half an hour ago.
Because sometimes if I don't go to that page, it...
Oh, okay.
Calm down, mind your own business.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
I don't know. I don't have. All right, I want suggestions for AOC update songs because we have to have an AOC update song because it's not a day. I mean, there's not a day that goes by. If I wanted to subject you people to her, and by the way, she is hunted. Get the hunted emoji out. She is 100% controlled CIA PSYOP opposition.
Because Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security were promises that we as a people have made to each other about the kind of country we are and the kind of society we want to live in. And I don't know about you, Arizona.
Stop the tape for just a second. Stop the tape. So if we don't have government programs, we don't have the kind of country that we want to live in? Correct. I think you have that backwards. I think the kind of country we want to live in is one that doesn't require a government program to do anything and to fake charity, because it's not charity. If you have to steal it from me to transfer the wealth to someone else, that's not charity. So that's the kind of country I want to live in. Roll the tape.
But I want to live in an America that guarantees health care to every person.
Okay, stop the tape. Who's not getting health care?
Obamacare fixed that, remember?
I thought we fixed that with... you can't keep going back. And who are these morons that cheer for this? You can't keep going back to the same well. You sold us, your people sold this as fake bill of goods in 2009 and 2010 called Obamacare, the Affordable Care Patient Protection Act.
15-year anniversary.
I thought this was done. Everybody every American's going to have health care because the Affordable Care Act and patient protection, it's going to be great for all. Joe's going to cure cancer. I thought you can't keep curing the same problem. You can't. Doesn't everyone have health care? By the way, the amount of money the American people spend on health services every year is at bankruptcy level. We're at 25%. So a quarter out of every dollar you earn is just going to be turned over to the medical and pharmaceutical industrial complex. The average around the world is 8.5%. Why is ours triple? Because just like with the federal government and DOJ, there are criminals in every industrial complex. And they're thieves. Here, roll the rest of the stupidity.
I want to live in an America that has a living wage for every person. I want to live in America where you have free speech to express yourself and not be afraid of getting put on a list or deported.
Stop the digital. Stop the tape. You mean like you're doing right now? Are you going to get deported? Are you going to get put on a list? These people use free speech to tell everyone they don't have free speech. You talk about using absurdity to illustrate absurdity. Roll the rest of the... I'll try not to interrupt.
But these promises that we've made, they are not promises from politicians to the people, or they're not charity from billionaires to everyday Americans. They are promises we have made to each other.
I didn't make it.
Neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, teacher to student, family member to family member.
I did not.
That we want to live in a society that is not depraved, not every person for themselves.
Stop
but all of us
the
standing
tape!
together.
I'm never putting her back on here again.
That is not depraved. You know what depraved is?
Kill babies.
Killing babies is depraved. You live in a society that kills babies and you're happy about it. You're depraved. You know what's depraved? Removing the genitals from a teenager, that is healthy genitals from a healthy teenager, that is depraved. You practice depravity. You know what's depraved? Telling 13-year-old girls and maybe 8-year-old girls and 8-year-old boys and 13-year-old boys that having sex with other boys or with other girls is perfectly natural, normal, and acceptable, indeed encouraged. That's depraved. So if you want a depravity-free society, well, then you should shut up. You should stop going in public and advocating for depravity. You know what she thinks depravity is? Balancing a budget is depraved. You know what she thinks depravity is? A husband and wife being married for a long time together and having 8 children. That's depraved to her. You know what she thinks depravity is? A husband and wife with being married for the long time with the children at home and come closer. Homeschooling them. That's what she thinks depraved is. You know what she thinks depraved is? Sacrificing late events on Saturday evenings and Saturday nights so that you can arise early and not hungover on a Sunday and go to this thing called Mass or church. That's what she thinks is depraved. You want to talk about depravity, Alexandria Cortez? Why don't we compare our depravities and see who is on the good side and who is on the side of the evil one? Who's on the side of human flourishing and who is on the side of human suffering and misery? And I can tell you, it's not us. Real, baby, market. I don't even want to have to play Bernie Sanders because I can do the voice better than him. And I can also do the finger pointing. Because you got to get the fingers. You got to point to the people. Now, I am here for we must have more social insecurity, more Medicare, more Medicaid, and more abortions. You ever notice that he can't talk without pointing? As he has his hands up in the air with his weird, and he's always pointing. I'm like, dude, who are you pointing at? If you were a dog, you'd obviously be a pointer. Do you actually? I see you have number 8 queued up.
Well, you said Bernie. So
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's hear it. It's a socialism free-for-all.
Is there anything that you think Trump has done right?
Yeah, I mean, I think cracking down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. Look, nobody thinks that illegal immigration is appropriate.
Yes, they do. You better talk to your concert buddy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, here comes the big one. Here comes the big one. Jasmine Crocker. People love that. Jasmine Crocker.
Just in case the slow people listening decide to clip this up later, I just want to say that I have never promoted violence whatsoever, yet I've also never made excuse for those violent actors such as the ones on January 6th. So Pam Bondi, if you have an issue with terrorism, maybe you should talk to your boss about locking back up those guys that he let out that participated in January 6th.
When Pam Bondi, though, says, tread carefully, what does that even mean?
Yeah. All it means is that she's attempting to get me to say, oh, I'm going to be scared and I'm just not going to say anything because they are willing to literally break the law. I mean, that's what we've seen them do.
All right. She obviously said something about Jasmine Crocker showing up at that Invidious,
it was the Tesla takedown
Take down Tesla, but what's the name of the website? I've only been to it once, so I can't remember now. But in any event, remember we played you the clip last week, and I went, does the Speaker of the House of Representatives know that one of his members actually showed up at a event that is for trying to put out of business a perfectly fine, legal American car company named Tesla, and that she is actually the Tesla is located in Texas, and part of her district is actually and people that live in her district actually work at Tesla, and that Tesla also has contracts with or not Tesla but SpaceX has contracts with the U.S. government. Remember Elon saying, "I have a top secret security clearance." Remember, he had to have a security clearance. Why? Because he flies rockets into outer space. There's certain things that you have to know. So I guess that's what she is referring to. You say you have. Well, which one of the Bondies does she mention? Jasmine Crocker. Play digital media file number. I need an update theme song for her too. You know what? Maybe I just need a dumb socialist broad in government update song.
These vandals on Tesla vehicles and dealerships, give us the consequences there, and what are you learning once they're arrested? Why are they doing this?
Well, you know, we're looking at so much on this. There have been 3 federal charges so far, and I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. You know, that could be a weapon of mass destruction that they're throwing in Tesla dealerships, that they're lighting these Tesla charging stations on fire that are in residential neighborhoods. I mean, it could cause tremendous damages. And people need to know that 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences, and they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Yeah, Jasmine Crocker. But you know what? As I keep saying, folks, you know, if we didn't play these people for you, they are inconsequential. I'm playing you this for pure entertainment. It does not have any relational effect on what is going on in and with the Trump administration. They are simply out there. They are just a giant gas vent. That's all they are. You know, you look up on the roof of your home, and the temperature is right outside, and the humidity is right, and you're running your hot water heater, or somebody's taking a shower. You will note that you can actually see that as the warm, hot air, as it escapes the vent pipe in your roof, it will start to condense. It'll start to condensate, and it will turn color. So it'll look like gray smoke is coming out, and that's because the water vapor is actually the form is changing. That's what they are. They're vent stacks, and that's why there are people down below that are boiling, blithering mad because the United States may be successful, and that we cannot have. And because we don't want the United States to be successful in any way, shape, or form, then we have to stand, we have to say that we're getting, you know, it's really difficult to be in a political party where you are physically and with your own advocacy, you are advocating literally advocating failure. I mean, to want someone to fail. I was talking about all these influencers earlier today, that how they get all their listeners and followers and what have you here. And I was asking whether or not they were bought and paid for by other larger entities. I don't wish failure on them. I just want the system cleaned up. I want them to say that, yeah, I'm in the pay and I'm doing this for clicks and lights, and I really don't give a rat's for you behind about any of you. To have the Attorney General of the United States talking about actually protecting a private American citizen instead of going after one, which Merrick Garland spent 4 years going after Eric Howe, going after pro-lifers, going after people in the pro-life movement, going after President Trump, going after Trump's children, going after MAGA people, going after Jace 010621 grandmas. Private citizens. The Injustice Department of the United States was weaponized to go after and to incarcerate and make people's lives miserable and to ruin many people's lives. Here's Pam Bondi talking about, well, here's a private citizen. His name's Elon Musk. And yes, and Tesla owners, who people that own Teslas and people that own Tesla dealerships, we're not going to let this happen to them. We're going to protect them. Isn't that just it's fresh. It's like sea air.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Monday, March 24th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Cookin' with the KingDude
Satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no, thanks. Just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there. You didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
Proven 100% effective in treating the civilization-killing symptoms of low testosterone. It's the High T Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. Here on a Monday. If you're listening or watching on the YouTube, give us the thumbs up on the broadcast today. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified. You know, I have a notification. I subscribed to the channel way back in the day under my other Gmail account. Today was the first day I ever got notified that we were going live. I got a notification for the first time, so I don't think that the notification thing is working. Welcome aboard, everyone who is listening to the new time and new show. Remember, you can always catch this show and rebroadcast tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So if you want to catch it and rebroadcast at 6 a.m., just pretend today's show that we do live, as you heard, we had President Trump on while it was live. We had other things on while they were live. So tomorrow, if we had the old schedule, we would be talking about what we played for you today. So tomorrow, it's just new. It will be just as new for you as it always has been. And I do see people that are listening in the morning. You know, so please continue to do that. And didn't see any donations in the Crusader Stadium chat room. What in the hell has happened to the chat? See, this is like a Rubik's Cube to us. We have no clue. We have several theories. One theory is that people can still listen in the background while they're at work, but they're not hands-free and they can't chat. Second theory is they pop in and out of the chat room when they are able to during the noon to 3 Eastern Standard Time show. And maybe they're hopping in the morning and dropping messages. In any event, crusadechannel.com/donate. crusadechannel.com/donate. We did guilt trip one person in the YouBoob chat to making a contribution. Hopefully we'll hit our March crowdfunding numbers. If we don't, and you want the, we're going to hit it. So we're not going to talk about what people don't. We're not going to worry about what plants crave. We're just going to go ahead and do it. There is an article at Compact Magazine Online, The Vanishing White Male Writer, by Jacob Savage. I shared the first opening paragraph with you earlier. He's basically writing about how white boys and young men have been completely, not kinda, not a little bit, they have been completely removed from writing novels. There are no young men that are at the major universities or in the major scholarship programs that are white and male.
0.0.
The more thoughtful pieces on this subject tend to frame the issue as a crisis of literary masculinity, the inevitable consequence of an insular, female-dominated publishing world, all true to a point. But while there are no male Sally Rooney's or Otessa Moshfeghs or Emma Kleins, there are no white Tommy Oranges or Taolons or Tony Tulathamutes, whoever the hell that is. He references him later on as being a guy that's a Thai American who cracked into the novel, one of the novel schools, but he's not a white guy. Some of this is undoubtedly part of a dynamic that's played out across countless industries. Publishing houses like Hollywood Writers' Rooms and academic tenure communities had a glut of established white men on their rosters, and the path of least resistance wasn't to send George Saunders or Jonathan Franzen out to pasture. But despite these pressures, there are white male millennial novelists. Diversity preferences may explain their absence from prize lists, but they can't account for why they've so completely failed to capture the zeitgeist, or the zeitgeist. The reasons for that go deeper. All those attacks on the lit bro, the mockery of male literary ambition, exemplified by the sudden cultural banishment of David Foster Wallace, have had a powerfully chilling effect. Unwilling to portray themselves as victims, cringe, politically wrong, or as aggressors, toxic masculinity, unable to assume the authentic voices of others, appropriation, younger white men are no longer capable of describing the world around them. Instead, they write genre, they write suffocatingly tight autofiction, they write fantastic and utterly terrible period pieces, anything to avoid grappling directly with the complicated nature of their own experience in contemporary America. Imagine for a moment that you are a young, whitish, male novelist attempting to write your big, splashy everything novel. You want to understand your alienation from yourself, your family, the monoculture around you. You're a bookish person. You're a novelist, after all. So you take your toddler son to the bookstore. He's been asking for a book about whales or fire trucks or trains. These are present, but prominent placement is given to a different kind of book. You see a large display for Queens of the Jungle. Meet the female animals who rule the animal kingdom. Right next to a YA adaptation of Isabel Wilkerson's Castle and a Ruth Bader Ginsburg board book for babies. If you're a normal white male millennial, you probably roll your eyes. If you're a maniac like me, you text photos of the display to your group chats. And if you're a hero or a Democratic congressman, you tell your 2.5-year-old son, come on, gender isn't even a thing. We really should buy the book about the girl boss animals. NPR said it's great. There's more in this. I encourage everyone to read this because it's just another one of those. This is what we did to boys.
Bring down tariffs. Are you seeing that negotiation?
Oh, it's happened. Well, European.
I see
Union
Governor
lowered
Landry
the
there is why I'm going up with the sound.
2.5%. We were only at 2.5% for cars, which is very low. And as you probably heard, that European Union lowered their number from much higher than that, many, many times higher. Surprised to 2.5%, so that was good. But I don't know that I expect that. It's up to them. But we have reciprocal tariffs.
Mr. President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
This announcement on Hyundai, is this a blueprint for you for other automakers to come to the United States to do what Hyundai was doing and investing so much?
That's a shocking question, how nice it is, huh? That's okay. That's a question that's a good question, actually. Yeah, sure. Hyundai's a great company. We have other great companies coming in, and we have some that are going to be staying here and very much expanding. And we have tremendous interest in every business. I can't just say automobiles, but automobiles is a big one. And yeah, this is the beginning of a lot of things happening. We've had, as you know, Apple's announced a $500 billion investment, and other companies.
You know, as Cal Coolidge once said, the business of America is business.
Well into the $3 and $4 trillion mark, which has never happened to our country before. What it really means is jobs. All we care about is jobs, right? We care about quality and quality of life and safety and security, but we care about jobs. And they're going to have we have a lot of people coming in.
Governor Landry,
okay, let me go to Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor here, because what is happening here? Hold on, let me hear I want to hear my governor.
President this year, right?
Jeff Landry.
Again, I think that this is Americans seeing the America First policy in action, right? It's not just promises, it's about action. And not only and I appreciate their patience because all last year, many of these legislators, the Speaker and the Senate President, we worked on making Louisiana as friendly for business as the president is making America. We worked on public safety. We worked on educational reform, which the president's been working on. We worked on tax reform, historic tax reform. And what I can tell you is to echo what the president said, in Louisiana right now, I believe before the summer's over, we'll have $50 billion worth of construction projects going on in Louisiana. That is a record, Mr. President. It has never happened under any other president, under any other administration. And I can only look at the leadership that he has brought, not only to the White House, but to the world as well. And so to have these executives come here and say, hey, we want to invest in America, because for decades now, what Americans have seen is jobs being offshored rather than onshored. And today's announcement is exactly that. This is a message for all America that this president and their governors out there care about the American worker.
Mr. President, on your Venezuela tax,
And I have to tell you that if you have any trouble getting permits, which you won't, come see me. I'll get them for you immediately. All right? But you're not going to have any.
All right, let me go to Magdalene Rose. Magdalene, again, Governor Landry saying $50 billion in Louisiana construction projects alone. That's not Biden Build Back Better. We're going to draft a bill and we're going to tax Alaska to pay for Louisiana's investment. That's companies that are either already here or companies coming here. In this case, it's Hyundai that's coming here. They're going to invest. If you're a young man out there, and I'm curious because you're in this genre, you're in this demographic. If you're a young man out there, and are they getting this message? Are they hearing, hey, Hyundai's coming. Hey, GE is expanding. Hey, such and such, Magnavox is coming back. Are they hearing this? Does this mean that some of them, many of them, I don't know, are going to go like, you know what? I don't think I need to continue on the path to my yellow pygmies and political science degree. I think I might need to go to a vo-tech school, or might need to learn how they smelt iron ore, and talk about going to work at one of these construction projects.
Yes, and I think that's why they voted for Trump to begin with. And the amount that voted for Trump cannot be overstated. He just dominated with young men across the board, particularly young white men. And I think one of the reasons he's prioritized, aside from the fact he just loves America, fixing the economic uncertainty here and trying to improve the blue-collar job market, is he knows that those people, if he can make them happy, if he can get them to be grateful or happy they voted for him, he can cement the Republican Party for Vance's run in 28. And Vance very much speaks to those people for the obvious reasons. So I think one of the things that Trump has done is he's not compromised on delivering for blue-collar and white, and specifically young white men. In the first administration, that sort of got muddled. People wanted him to be very much like pro-diversity and talk to celebrities. He's not compromising that time, and he's having a lot more success.
This is a direct, and by the way, people are commenting on Governor Landry's accent. My governor parle le français beaucoup. He speaks French a lot, and you can hear it in his voice, and that's why you'll hear that he got that little, we're not just bringing jobs here, Shad. We bring in the president is bringing all this industry and stuff. Governor Landry is very well spoken. And by the way, just another example. This is a successful, relatively young Magdalene, successful Southern Republican governor. Louisiana is happening for the first time, and since like the oil boom of the early '80s.
And that's because also these are states that did not compromise in the same way liberal states did during the COVID years. And I think that's something people have to really understand. If you look at the New York City real estate market, for example, it's never recovered. That's the same for major liberal cities around the country. Republican states that were run by real Republicans, they didn't gut themselves in the way that Democrat-run states did. And I think that's part of the reason why, as Trump brings these companies back in, they want to invest in conservative states.
And you're going to get out of a conservative state. The one thing that a company wants, especially if it's going to invest in building, the one thing that it wants, and it's going to prize over tax breaks or any other consideration, it wants stability. Doesn't want to build. And I'll give you a perfect example. The company Sasol, which is a South African oil company, Sasol, was going to build a $3 billion LNG, liquefied natural gas plant, in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They actually started the plant, and they were probably going to finish it. And then I forget what happened, but it was either it wasn't Biden, was it? No, it was Obama. Obama basically put the kibosh on LNG so that plant couldn't be finished, and they really had no choice but they bailed on it, and they turned it into a chemical processing plant of some sort. Now I think ultimately it got finished, and we do have liquefied natural gas, but that was billions of dollars that was just squandered by a change in the presidency. That's what you don't want, which is why he's saying that, we're going to get the regulations taken down. You got to build these plants fast. You got to build them. You got to get them up. You got to get them up fast. And part of this is just on the off chance that the Democrats are actually able to make some sort of a run in 2028. And I don't see how that's going to happen, but who knows?
Well, I don't see how it happens either, but mainly because even at this point, where history says that the Democrat Party, as the opposition party, should be flooded with money, flooded with resources because they lost everything. That hasn't happened. It just isn't happening. People are not running to the Democrat Party, and I think the reason for that is millions of Democrats voted against Kamala Harris and Democrats down ballots because they could not be trusted to do anything that made sense. And this thing that Democrats have been doing, going back to I think the second the Mitt Romney time, of rigging their primaries, of not allowing people to choose. That is a problem. They did it with Hillary Clinton. They did it that time with Biden. They did it with Kamala Harris. Nobody's been allowed to choose on the Democrat side who they think should be the nominee for president to uphold their values in 3 Democrat election cycles. That's a problem. And that moment in 2016, I think it was a watershed moment with Trump and Bernie. And Republicans, because our primary is fair and it is the will of the people, went with the dude with more support. Democrats didn't. Since they did that, they've been on borrowed time.
Today, actually, I think it was Friday, was the anniversary, 15-year anniversary of Obamacare being signed, or is it today, Maggie? I think it was Friday. No, it's Patrick. I know this. I think it was passed. I don't think it was signed. I know this because I remember talking about it back in 2010, that it was not a stroke of blind luck that the Affordable Care Patient Protection Act was actually voted out of the Congress and the Senate on the same day that Patrick Henry gave his liberty or death speech, which Trump wrote a proclamation for. But Obama, this thing got passed 15 years ago. You still have the Democrats out there whining about people not having health care. We spent 25% of GDP. You passed Obamacare. You boast and brag that the Republicans have failed to repeal it. Either we have it or we don't. How they are so far behind. They're so discombobulated, so dysfunctional. They're campaigning on things that they themselves said that they solved. How many times do you get to run and campaign on fixing health care?
Well, and think about when they were in the midterm race in 2018, and Nancy Pelosi said, it's all going to be about health care. And Trump made the point you just did, where he said you fixed health care. You wouldn't let me repeal Obamacare because it was so fixed. So how are you running on health care? Since the 2018 midterms, no one's spoken about health care on the Democrat side, not in earnest. No one cares. They only talk about it in terms of abortion. And that's just the truth for where Democrats are at now.
Mike Churchill on the Crusade Radio Network. It's Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor here on a Monday. Let us talk about Sodagate. Is there now the list of names? I saw the Pine Bayou guy or the Pine Barren dude. He explained it very well, that the money actually goes from Coca-Cola to like the Dunlap Foundation. And then the Dunlap Foundation, then they send, they have a PR firm, and they send it out to a think tank or whatever. And then the PR firm actually contacts the conservative bro influencers, and they're promised a contribution or a stipend or whatever in the future here. That's how this all went down. Have you heard anything else about this?
That many influencers that are with young conservative organizations were also approached, and that there has been a much more significant influencer campaign or effort by major companies that are outside the political arena than we thought. And if you look at, for example, Disney, this is a company that I think did not invest in getting influencers on their side. And because the evidence of that was overwhelmingly conservatives are against Disney. Disney does not have this infrastructure of young liberals that other companies do. But on the flip side of that, you look at companies like McDonald's or Coca-Cola, companies that have vested interest in making sure that there is not government regulation around food standards, then the influencer sort of war begins. And to me, it is a good indicator of the fact that those companies continue to grow without really being susceptible to the bad Republican onslaught so many like Disney face.
So so the Democrats, the left, they have their influencers, and they also have the numbers. It's the quote conservatives that don't have influencers but don't have the same numbers. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that is the fact. And I think that that's been one of the things that the Trump team has been slow to realize.
Okay. We wanted to talk about the ones, Ian Miles Chong, the Eric Doherty guy. You know, somebody asked Eric Doherty, dude, why would anyone trust you any longer that you are that you're an influencer after it's clear that you took an email that someone sent you and you just cut and pasted in order to oppose RFK Jr. in an offhand remark that he made. There is no policy yet that I am aware of to go to war for government-funded obesity. This is not. This is not a. It wouldn't seem to me that these people can survive this, and I don't think that they should survive it.
No, they will survive it, though, because people know and accept that these people are, in some ways, very corrupt.
They accept that they're correct. All right. You mentioned Disney just a moment ago here. You got any late breaking news? Because we're almost done. It looked like you found something fascinating. I'm watching let me tell you something about now, I don't have a Disney subscription, so don't start yelling at me. I had someone stay here that had a Disney subscription and log me into their account. I expect at some point in time I get logged out. But in any event, I'm watching the new Daredevil. Okay, it's Daredevil season 4. I missed season 3, and I need to watch it because I'm not sure what happened at the end. And let me tell you that you can see the fingerprints of woke DEI Disney all over this thing. It's not interesting. It's not exciting. It's all men are bad and maybe the women are good. To me, it's just a complete and total waste of time. So I'm just warning you. I've only seen 3 episodes. Magna, we're out of time. I didn't realize that we're up against the clock. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this season 4 of Daredevil, and I've seen the first 4 episodes, is not good. As a matter of fact, if you're thinking, I'm just going to get a Disney subscription so I can watch Daredevil, don't do it. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. God bless you, Mary keep you. Thanks to Matt Emberson for making a contribution in the chat room.
The Crusade Channel, your news talk and Fiorella.
Proven 100% effective in treating the civilization-killing symptoms of low testosterone. It's the High T Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. Here on a Monday. If you're listening or watching on the YouTube, give us the thumbs up on the broadcast today. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified. You know, I have a notification. I subscribed to the channel way back in the day under my other Gmail account. Today was the first day I ever got notified that we were going live. I got a notification for the first time, so I don't think that the notification thing is working. Welcome aboard, everyone who is listening to the New Time and News Show. Remember, you can always catch this show and rebroadcast tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So if you want to catch it and rebroadcast at 6 a.m., just pretend today's show that we do live, as you heard, we had President Trump on while it was live. We had other things on while they were live. So tomorrow, if we had the old schedule, we would be talking about what we played for you today. So tomorrow, it's just